Welcome to Free to Flourish Radio with me, Gemma Sands. This is your place to come and be inspired and empowered to live a heart-led life. Each week you can expect soulful conversation on topics like holistic wellness, living with intention, conscious business, and how to create life by your own design. So get cozy and let's jump into this week's episode. Hi everybody, welcome to this week's episode. Super excited as always to be here with you. It's a really miserable grey day here in Yorkshire, in the part of the UK in which I live in, and it's got me kind of really in a sort of autumny mood. So I'm sat here with my big mug of tea. I've got a really thick woolly jumper on, and it's feeling really like autumn now, which I have to tell you I'm super excited about. I love autumn. For me, it's probably one of my favourite seasons. So yeah, although we haven't had much of a summer here in the UK, I'm definitely ready for this change in season. Anyway, today I want to talk about one of my favourite things to talk about, and if you follow me anywhere online, you will know that I am absolutely obsessed with talking and teaching about this at the moment, and that is essential oils. I love them. I could probably talk about this for hours, so this might be a slightly longer episode than usual, but what I really want to do is I just want to introduce you to them if you've never used them before, and you don't really know what they are or what they can do. And for those of you who have experienced it before, I want to talk a little bit about the particular oils that I love to use and the reasons behind that. So before I dive into what oils actually are, I just want to give you a little bit of an understanding about how I came to use oils, because it's only been in the last sort of 18 months or so that I've developed this new obsession and become the crazy oil lady that I am. Before that, I had sort of used them in the past. Hadn't had great results, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. And I didn't really understand what they were or how they could fully benefit us. So up until recently, my experience of using essential oils kind of came in two ways. The first way was using them just as a tool to kind of make my house smell nice in an oil burner, something like that. And the other way in which I'd used them was back in the day when I was at university and I was really struggling with anxiety around exams and I wasn't sleeping. Someone suggested that I try lavender. So I headed off to the health food shop, grabbed a bottle of lavender, and tried to use that to help me sleep. And it didn't really work. So I've always been a little bit skeptical about natural sort of solutions, although I am super passionate about being as sustainable as possible, really eco-friendly, all of that kind of thing. I could just never really get on board with the fact that natural solutions could be effective as the other things that we're so used to using in our homes, whether it comes to cleaning, whether it comes to beauty products, whether it comes to the things that we have in our medicine cabinet. So, all that being said, for the last few years, I've been dealing with a lot of hormone issues and a lot of things going on there. I've had a lot of tests done, been to a lot of hospital appointments, and eventually, not too long ago, I got the diagnosis that I have polycystic ovarian syndrome. So this was something new for me. I've always struggled with hormones, but it's been so much worse over the last few years. And obviously I had this new diagnosis. So I started to research into what could be done. I was put on a lot of medication, and I was really desperately struggling with the side effects from that medication. I'm talking depression, mood swings, really erratic cycles, without going into too much detail, very heavy periods that could go on for months at a time. And it was affecting everything. It was affecting my business. It was affecting my relationship and our family life, because I just couldn't show up as myself. I was always sort of battling and dealing with this thing. So I was struggling with that, and then I was struggling with the side effects of the medication, and eventually enough became enough, and I said, you know what, I need to take a break from this medication, and I need to look for alternative ways that I can help this situation. And so the more research I did, the more things I found that could help, a lot of which is around diet and healthy lifestyle. That's a journey that I'm still on and I'm still learning, and I may talk about that in more detail sometime in the future, because I certainly haven't quite got that balance right yet. And another thing that I found, can really affect our hormones is all of the toxins and all of the chemicals that we have in our environment, in our homes. And the more that I started to research this side of things, the scarier it became, actually, just what we come into contact with on a daily basis, whether that's through our skincare and our beauty products, whether it's through the cleaning products that we have in our home, whether it's through the medication that we're taking, whether it's just through the environment in which we live in. There are all of these toxins which really disrupt our endocrine system, and that's our system that's responsible for all of our hormone production. So I started to look at ways in which we could reduce the toxins in our home. And this is when I really stumbled across essential oils again. And I was a little bit skeptical because, like I said, I'd kind of used them before. But I started to do my research, and I was introduced to a specific brand of essential oils, which is the brand that I'm going to talk about today, and that's doTERRA. And I thought, do you know what? I've got to give this a go. So I purchased a kit. I got 10 oils and a diffuser. And from the minute that I opened the first bottle, which I still remember was peppermint, I was absolutely hooked. I was in love. And I started to use them. I used them to help with my hormone situation. I used them around our house. I used them on my stepkids, and Greg got involved in using them. And from that day, we have never looked back. They are now a key part of my daily routine. Our daily routine, in fact. They're in my cleaning products, they're even in my toothpaste, they're in my supplements that I take. I have essential oils in beauty products. I make my own beauty products and cleaning products based on essential oils, and I diffuse them around the home. I use them topically, all of these things that we're going to talk about in a bit more detail today. And since I started using them, everything has changed. Literally, physical, emotional, spiritual wellness, everything has changed for me. I am super, super passionate about these oils, which is why I wanted to talk to you about them today. So that's kind of what's brought me to this point of being so passionate about oils. And now I feel it's actually a part of my purpose, and it's become a part of my business to educate other people around the power of these oils and empower you to actually go out there and be the wellness advocate for your home and for your family, and, really start to take control of your own wellness. So today I want to share a little bit about oils. We're going to talk about what they actually are, the reason why they're so great, how we use them, and also why it is that I particularly love doTERRA essential oils. And with any of this, if you are interested, I totally recommend that you go out and you research them for yourself. Don't just necessarily listen to the things that I'm telling you today. But I am here to educate you. I am here to support you. So if you want to find out more or you're interested, then I'm going to give you some details on how you can do that as well. So what even is an essential oil? You've probably experienced them on numerous occasions. Perhaps you've actually already used essential oils, or you've had them in your home. But they're actually in lots of things that we already use anyway. They're in our foods. They are in beauty products. They're in things like toothpaste. So you're probably already familiar with them. And if you've actually ever experienced the scent of a flower, like a rose, then you've experienced the aromatic qualities of an essential oil. And essentially, very simply, essential oils are just pure extracts from plants. And the reason that plants have them, there's two reasons. So they have them as a defense mechanism. So they are there to protect the plant from any environmental threats. And they're also there to help the plant to heal. So they're there to protect and they're there to heal. Which means that when we harness that protective and healing powers for our own wellness, then they are actually a highly effective, affordable, and safe alternative, because when they're used properly, there are no side effects to the synthetic solutions that we're used to using. So depending on the plant, essential oils can be found in all different parts of plants. It can be in the leaves, the stems, the bark, the roots, the seeds, the flowers. It can be any part of the plant. And they've been used for thousands of years. They're nothing new. They've been used for thousands of years for their therapeutic properties. So, they're even mentioned in the Bible. If you think about frankincense and myrrh, the ancient Egyptians used them. They were used in Roman times. So they've been used throughout history. we've just kind of fallen away in the sort of 20th and 21st century from using these natural solutions, as we have developed technologies which mean that we can create things which are often seen to be cheaper alternatives, but in reality they probably aren't. One thing to note about essential oils is that they are super concentrated. So just one single drop of peppermint is the equivalent to 28 cups of peppermint tea, and they're about 50 to 70 times more powerful than herbs are. And this means that they're super cost effective, actually, because when you're using them, you only ever need to use 1 or 2 drops at a time. And your average 15 milliliter bottle has about 250 drops in it. So some of these bottles, depending on what you're using them for and how often you use them, can last you for years, making them a super cheap alternative to some of the things that we have already been using. So that's what an essential oil is. But you might be wondering what's so great about them. Okay, well, there's a few reasons that I want to talk about in terms of why I love essential oils. And the first is that they actually address the problem versus masking the symptom. This is really, really important because a lot of the synthetic medicines that we use currently, they aren't designed to really get to the root of the problem, but they are there to alleviate the symptoms of the problem that we might be experiencing. Pure therapeutic grade oils work in a different way. They actually work with the body to address issues and root causes on a cellular level. So unlike many synthetic medicines, they can actually penetrate the cell wall to target the cause of an issue rather than just alleviating the symptoms. So this is huge. This is really big. In terms of how essential oils work alongside the body to actually make changes on a cellular level. So that's the first thing. They address the problems versus masking the symptoms. The second thing, as I've already alluded to, super affordable, just pennies per drop. As I said, 50 milliliter bottle has around 250 drops in it, and you only need 1 to 2 per application because they are so potent and powerful. So they're far more affordable, really, than over-the-counter solutions. They're also extremely versatile, and what I love about them is that they're available in your home immediately. So I feel really incredibly grateful and empowered that I have them at my fingertips, so that whatever comes up for our family, I know I've got a solution present. One example of that was that we went away as a family to stay with Greg's mum. He lives in the south of the UK. And we're away for a week. I've got 2 teenage stepchildren. And of course, a week away with 2 dogs, 2 children, all sorts of things can go wrong. There were bumps and scrapes, there were tummy problems, there were mouth ulcers, there was all sorts of things that were going on, the health of the family, which if you have kids, you'll kind of understand this. And the brilliant thing is I had everything that we needed on hand to help deal with it. So I was constantly getting out my oils and applying them to people. But it was so empowering to know that I could just take care of our family wherever we are. I can take my oils with me and I can take care of everyone's needs. So that's what I love because, they're available immediately. They're available in our home. We can take them when we go traveling. Also, each essential oil contains numerous compounds. So what this means is it makes them super versatile. So if we take lavender, for example, you probably already know intuitively that lavender has really calming, really relaxing properties. So it's great for promoting peaceful sleep. It's great for, easing feelings of tension or anxiety. But did you also know that lavender is incredible for soothing skin irritation? So it's great for things like minor cuts, grazes, scrapes, burns. So, essential oils are super, super versatile. Another example of that is frankincense, one of my absolute favorites, because literally you can use frankincense for everything. I always say, if in doubt, use frank. There are so many different things that you can use it for. It supports healthy cellular function, incredible for the skin. It helps to balance the mood. So when in doubt, use frank. Another reason that I love essential oils so much, as again I've already alluded to, is that when they're used properly, they're used in a properly recommended way, then there are no side effects. And this is really, really important because our bodies struggle to metabolize synthetics, which causes side effects. So when you take a synthetic medicine, much of the body's healing capacity, much of its healing efforts are actually redirected to try and heal from the effect of the synthetic that was introduced. Okay, so we can't metabolize a synthetic, and our body then has to put a lot of effort into actually helping us heal from the introduction of that synthetic in the first place. So with essential oils, it's entirely different. They work with the body to help us heal, so we don't experience those side effects. Obviously, they need to be used carefully. We need to respect how potent and powerful essential oils are, but when they're used properly, there are no side effects. Okay, so that's why essential oils are so great, but what about how to use them? In my experience, I use them in 3 different ways. I use them aromatically, I use them topically, and I use them internally. Aromatically is probably one of the ways in which I use the oils the most around our home. We have diffusers in practically every room of our house, and I'm always putting in different combinations depending on what it is that we need. One of my favorites is to really use a diffuser to help to boost our immune system. So I'll use things like doTERRA's On Guard blend, which is the protective blend. It's got a lot of antioxidants and antibacterial oils in there, so it's super, super good for clearing out any toxins in the air in our home and helping to boost immune systems. I also use oils aromatically to help with emotional wellness, and this is a really big thing for me. As someone who's struggled a lot over the years with depression, anxiety, lots of hormone kind of related emotional problems, having these oils to turn to and having a toolkit of them for my emotional wellness has made all the difference. And the incredibly exciting thing about this is that they work super quickly, because what happens is when we experience an oil aromatically, it travels up our nasal passage and it heads into our brain. It heads into the limbic area of our brain, which is responsible for producing emotions. And it means that we can harness certain aromatic qualities of these oils to have a specific emotional response. And what I mean by that is if you're in a place where you're feeling really anxious, you're feeling really stressed, a little bit frazzled, for example, introducing an aromatic oil such as lavender actually helps to stimulate a response in our brain which calms us down. So we can use the oils to stimulate any particular emotional response that we want. For example, lavender, as I've mentioned, is really calming. On the other end of the spectrum, citrus oils are really uplifting. So they're really happy oils. They really help to boost our mood. They help to energize us. Things like wild orange, lemon, lemongrass are great, energizing, uplifting oils. So I love to use them aromatically because it really just helps me to just cope with whatever's going on in life and have a more balanced emotional response than I perhaps would have if I didn't have this toolkit of oils in my life. The second way that I use oils is topically. So I actually put them onto my body, onto my skin. And one drop can service every cell in your body, so incredibly powerful again. The important thing to note with this is that you should really always be diluting oils down with a carrier oil. You don't have to if you're using super high quality oils, but there are some what we call hot oils, things like clove, cinnamon, oregano that you definitely need to be diluting down. But I tend to dilute everything because it just helps the body to absorb the oil more quickly and effectively. So I use a carrier oil, like fractionated coconut oil. You could use almond oil. You could use any carrier oil that you prefer. Just make sure that it is pure and doesn't have any sort of nasties or synthetics in there alongside it. But yeah, one of the ways I use oils is topically. So for example, I'll rub lavender down the back of my neck and the soles of my feet before bed to help me sleep, really calming. I put frankincense in my moisturizer to help improve my skin tone. So I just add a drop to my moisturizer whenever I use that every day. doTERRA has an incredible blend called Balance, which is the grounding blend. So I always apply that to the soles of my feet and my pulse points before I do my daily meditation practice. It's also great for yoga. Tea tree, or Melaleuca as it's known in the US, you might be familiar with this already in terms of how good it is for skincare. So I'll apply that topically if I've got any spots coming up, anything like that. I sometimes add a drop to my shampoo as well because it's really nourishing for my scalp. So there's a whole range of ways in which I use essential oils topically. The third way in which I use essential oils is internally. Not everyone's comfortable with doing this. I am, because I know that I use a brand of oils that is completely safe to take internally. They're actually imported into the UK as food products. So not all oils can be taken internally, but I am happy to use them because I know of the quality and the testing, which we're going to talk about a little bit more. So with doTERRA oils, I definitely use them internally. I take them as part of my supplements every day. I put lemon or grapefruit in my water on a morning so that I can get the real cleansing benefits. Lemon and grapefruit are, any citrus oils really, but lemon and grapefruit are great for cleansing, internal cleansing, all of that sort of stuff. So I always have some of that in my water on a morning. I use them in my cooking. So things like basil, oregano. I use wild orange or peppermint in my desserts, and my vegan bliss balls, which are just gorgeous. I love them with peppermint and wild orange. So that's how I take them. I also have empty capsules that I can fill up with stuff. So for example, frankincense, I take, that's a real great anti-inflammatory oil. So super, super important to help us stay fit and well. It does a lot of stuff on a cellular level. So I take that one internally. And you can just use them to nourish the whole body, your digestive system, your mouth, your throat, your liver. Just great for, harnessing them in that way. So those are the three ways that I use essential oils: aromatically, topically, and internally. I'm going to drop lots of links and resources for anyone that's interested in finding out a bit more about what essential oils are, how they work, how you can use them, into the show notes. So if you're interested in that, do go and check that out. There'll be a whole heap of things, some videos, a few other sort of resources there for you. But I want to just move on a little bit now to why I particularly love doTERRA essential oils. doTERRA is the brand that I've chosen to align myself with. There are many, many brands of essential oils out there. The main reason I've chosen to align myself with doTERRA is the fact that I believe them to be the highest quality oils available on the market currently. That's the main reason, but I'm also going to talk to you about a few other reasons, and it's really important to touch on this because when I started to get into essential oils and do my research about things, I was actually really surprised to find out that not all essential oils are equal, and there's actually very little regulation within the industry, just similar to the beauty industry in a way, but there's very little regulation. So I found that actually the little £5 bottle of lavender that I was buying from, or I had previously bought from the health food shop, although it was labelled pure lavender oil, it actually wasn't. When you looked at the components within that, it actually had other oils, other things mixed in there. So it's really important if you want to start using essential oils, particularly if you're going to be using them on your skin, particularly if you're going to be using them internally, to know that you are sourcing them from a brand that is very reputable. doTERRA now have they're the biggest essential oils company in the world, actually. They have over 5 million customers, so they're a big player in this industry. And I genuinely believe that the quality is second to none. And the reason for that is testing. That's one of the reasons. Every single batch of oil goes through rigorous internal and third-party testings to make sure that there are no toxins, there are no fillers, there's no synthetics, they haven't been contaminated some way within the supply chain. And if they are found to have any kind of contaminant in, then they are just taken off the market. You can't buy that oil for a while whilst they work with the suppliers, the growers, the harvesters, the distillers to ensure that that doesn't continue to happen. They're tested to make sure that they have the correct therapeutic properties within there. So if you are buying a bottle of lavender because you want the calming properties, then they are tested to make sure it's going to deliver what we say it can. And another way in which they ensure the quality is in terms of their sourcing. So rather than setting up, for example, we've been talking about lavender a lot, so we'll stick with that example. Rather than setting up lavender farms in the US, like a lot of essential oil companies do, they actually source lavender from where it grows indigenously. So for us, that's the Alps and Bulgaria. It grows really well in Bulgaria. Wintergreen, another oil, that comes from Nepal. Vetiver comes from Haiti. Frankincense comes from Somalia. We source oils from over 40 different nations, so I could reel off the whole list, but I'm not going to. And the reason for that is because that's where they're indigenously grown. So it ensures that you're getting the best quality of oil because things like the humidity are all naturally what the plant needs. They're naturally where the plant thrives best. Also, a lot of the practices for harvesting these oils, communities have been doing this for hundreds of years. And so rather than taking the plant and growing it somewhere else and doing it in a very commercialized way, we actually work with the people who already know how to grow and harvest and distill these oils. So it's what we call co-impact sourcing. Again, I'll leave a link to a video. It's a beautiful video. It makes me cry every time I see it. But we work through co-impact sourcing with these communities to ensure that the quality of oil in the bottle is the highest possible. It also means that we can contribute back into these communities. As I mentioned, many of these oils come from developing nations, places like Haiti, Somalia, Nepal, and doTERRA, through their co-impact sourcing, is actually empowering these communities to help themselves and their families and the communities around them. doTERRA have a massive heart, which is the other big reason that I'm proud to align myself with this brand. They have their Healing Hands Foundation, which is just the most incredible kind of non-profit arm of the business. And a lot of money goes back into, as I said, that relationship with the growers, the farmers, the harvesters, the distillers. It goes back into those communities. So, for example, in Haiti, children were walking hours every day to bring back a few gallons of water for their family, their tribe. They now have fresh drinking water that flows, freely from a tap. In Somalia, I love using this example because in Somalia, frankincense farmers requested that doTERRA build a school for their sons. And doTERRA said, okay, sure, we'll build a school, but on one condition. You also have to allow your daughters to be educated. And, oh my God, my heart just expands when I think about that, because we know how much that will change the world, giving an opportunity to people that don't ordinarily have it in this way. So there are the dozens of Healing Hands projects taking places. Those are just a couple of examples. But what it means is that with every single bottle that's bought, so every time I buy a bottle of doTERRA oil, I know that actually lives across the world are being changed. That's huge. It's just massive. So as you can probably tell, I'm extremely passionate about these oils, the quality of them, the heart of the company, the difference that they have made in my life is just immense. And so I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about them today. I totally recommend that you go off and do your research. As I say, I'm going to leave some links in the show notes. If you're interested in finding out more about these oils or you want to try them, then do get in touch with me. All the details will be in the show notes. So if you're listening to this on iTunes or wherever you are, you might want to hop over to the blog. The link will be around, but it's gemmasands.co.uk. Head over to the blog or the podcast tab to find this episode, and all of the details will be there. If you want to try them, let me know. I can get you set up with a discount. I can get some samples coming your way if you want to give them a little test first. We can hop on the phone and talk about oils that will specifically support your wellness conditions. So I hope you've enjoyed learning about them. I'm definitely going to talk about them more often in the future here on the podcast, and the specific ways that I use them, specific oils that I use for specific reasons, because I love to talk about them. So that's what's going to happen. I'm going to enjoy bringing them into this space a little bit more. I'll be back again next Friday. I hope that you all have a beautiful weekend and a beautiful week, and I can't wait to speak to you again soon. Bye for now. You have been listening to Free to Flourish Radio. For the full show notes and all other episodes, just head to gemmasands.co.uk/episode. Do head over to iTunes to subscribe. I'd also be super grateful if you would leave a review. It makes the world of difference to me in this little project. And I will see you here next Friday for another episode.